In a move that completely came out of the blue, the BJP yesterday announced the suspension of spokesperson Nupur Sharma, a popular TV face who's time and again vociferously backed the party on several issues. The reason for her suspension is because of her controversial remarks on Prophet Muhammad that triggered protests and condemnations not just in India but worldwide. Arab countries including Qatar, Kuwait, Iran, Saudi Arabia condemned the comment, summoned Indian ambassadors and denounced these comments made against Prophet Muhammad. Bahrain has now welcomed the BJP's decision to axe Nupur Sharma. Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif also waded into this controversy, condemning the remarks. The comments of the Pakistan Prime Minister coming at a time, ironically, when religious minorities in Pakistan are also facing unprecedented violence and discrimination, but there's silence from Shehbaz Sharif on that. Clashes also broke out on Friday in Kanpur as two groups threw stones at each other over a call to shut down markets in protest against Nupur's statement made in context of the controversy over the Gyanvapi issue.
कि खुद नाखुश कार्यकर्ता कभी आपके ऊपर चप्पल उठा रहे हैं, गिरा रहे हैं, कभी आपके ऊपर स्याही फेंक रहे हैं.
One of the BJP's most known faces on national television.
That you need to nip this exercise.
Known for articulating BJP's stand on crucial national issues.
Report and the survey being conducted by the ASI as per the orders of the lower court.
The National Party's most outspoken voice, Nupur Sharma, getting the axe from her party over her remarks on the Prophet Muhammad during a television debate, which sparked violence by a mob in Kanpur. The BJP deciding to expel Nupur Sharma and relieve her of all party responsibilities pending an inquiry, making it clear that the BJP respects all religions and does not approve bad-mouthing of any religious figure.
सर्वधर्म संभाव तो हमारी नीति है.
सर, नुपुर शर्मा और नवीन जिंदल को एक्सपेल कर दिया, इस पे क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
वोट दीजिए.
आखिरी सवाल, इस पे क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
सॉरी
Nupur Sharma claimed that she was receiving rape and murder threats from the Islamic radicals. With her statement now, she's clarified she did not want to insult anyone and that she reacted because she was upset over constant insult to Lord Shiva in a television debate. But now she takes back her words if it has hurt religious sentiment. But the Bharatiya Janata Party faced flack both from its followers and detractors over axing of Nupur Sharma. BJP supporters slammed penal action against Nupur, accusing the BJP of throwing her to the wolves, calling it an appeasement of Islamists. Political rivals said the BJP is paying for hatred politics.
इन लोगों की प्राइमरी मेंबरशिप को सिर्फ सस्पेंड ही नहीं करना चाहिए था, इनको हमेशा के लिए पार्टी से निकाला जाना चाहिए था.
The BJP is said to have removed Nupur Sharma following outrage in the Arab world, but in doing so, it may have upset a large section of its own party supporters who are openly backing the axed spokesperson. With Tejashree Purandare, Bureau Report, India Today.
And let's bring in our Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan, also on this broadcast. Geeta, good morning. Keeping aside all the politics behind the BJP's move for a moment, largely this suspension of Nupur Sharma was triggered by the fact that there's been widespread condemnation, widespread outrage internationally, particularly by Gulf countries over what Ms. Sharma had said.
Well, Prophet Muhammad is an issue and a figure that certainly cannot be touched when it comes to the Islamic world. And the statements that were made by BJP leaders here in India has had an effect on ties of India with various countries, not in terms of impact wherein they're cutting ties, but certainly in terms of how they view the entire statement coming in from India. So we've seen reactions from Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Pakistan, Afghanistan. The Taliban regime has also reacted, and a very strong statement coming in from the OIC, which represents the Islamic, all the Islamic countries. So again, the Indian administration in its response has already said that these are not views of the government of India, but of what they called fringe elements to a few countries. But this certainly is a very serious matter, given that they are not fringe elements exactly. They are the spokespersons of the Bharatiya Janata Party. So yes, the administration will have to see and look at some sort of damage control. We've seen envoys engaging various countries, including Iran. Iran also reacted to it. They will be on a damage control mode. But for now, statements and counter statements have already been made between countries that have lodged protests with India.
All right, Geeta, thank you for getting us all of those details. Now, what we saw also as a result of Nupur Sharma's comments were protests here in India as well. In Kanpur on Friday, there were clashes that were reported between two groups, violence that broke out. And now, as we get you the latest on the investigation, there is a PFI link that's also emerging.
Massive mob violence. Stone pelting and street fights. Firing of gunshots. Pitched battle with police. This was Friday's big unrest in UP's Kanpur. Over Nupur Sharma's remarks on the Prophet. And now comes the massive crackdown. At least 29 rioters, including the mastermind Zafar Hayat Hashmi, have been taken into custody. Hashmi allegedly organized the mob violence after forcing local Hindu shopkeepers to shut their shops. He allegedly got help from radical outfits.
कस्टडी 14 दिन की दी गई है 18 तारीख तक और बाकी के बारे में मैं आपको और जानकारी अभी देना उचित मुझे नहीं प्रतीत होता है देखते हैं और क्या कार्यवाही होती है उसके बाद में फिर
Probe agencies have also uncovered a link to radical Islamist outfit PFI to these riots after documents related to the radical group were found on the accused.
देखिए पीएफआई के कनेक्शन से कोई संभावना से इनकार नहीं किया जा सकता कुछ हमको क्लूज मिले हैं अब एक बार स्पेशल इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग टीम पूरी जांच कर ले उसके बाद इस पर टिप्पणी करना उचित होगा
ट्रांजैक्शन मिले हैं कुछ पीएफआई से जुड़े हुए कुछ लोगों के दस्तावेज नहीं
ट्रांजैक्शन अभी हम देख नहीं पाए अब रिमांड पे लेके आने वाले दिनों में ट्रांजैक्शंस और हम चेक करेंगे और फिर आपको कंक्लूसिवली बताएंगे
The anti-terror squad led by top cops are now investigating how PFI organized the violence.
In the investigation, it has revealed that some angles with the PFI is also being investigated. Now, the 14-day custody which will be sought is for the investigation that will be, done regarding the links with the PFI. The police commissioner has told that the bank statements of the accused will be checked, and also some of his call will be traced.
A political war of words is simmering, with the BJP and opposition facing off over the clashes.
Wherever and whenever there seems to be an incident involving communal tension, a pattern seems to be emerging that the PFI's name emerges, and this gets reported in the media. There seems to be a growing demand across the country that action is required against the PFI, and the agencies are doing what they have to, the investigative agencies.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी की जब से शासन आया केंद्र में पूरे देश में इसी तरह नफरत घृणा और एक दूसरे के खिलाफ माहौल बिगाड़ने की कोशिश हो रही है और जो कानपुर में हुआ है और भी जगहों पे हो रहा है कोई भी समुदाय हो अगर वो सांप्रदायिक माहौल को बिगाड़ने का प्रयास करता है तो ये दुखद है और लेकिन इसमें शह जो है वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी का है
The Yogi government has promised to punish the rioters who went on a rampage and resorted to street attacks on policemen. With Simar Chawla in Kanpur, Bureau Report, India Today.
The Gyanvapi issue, the mosque controversy continues to simmer, particularly with the Hindu group pushing forward and saying that there is a shivling in the Wazukhana. A Hindu seer who vowed to offer prayers at that claimed Gyanvapi shivling has now been placed under house arrest. Observing a fast, the seer is adamant that he will not break it until he is given permission to offer prayers at the claimed shivling. And his health is now deteriorating as a result of giving up on food and water. Swami Avimukteshwaranand, the chief of Vidya Math, had earlier thrown an open challenge of offering prayers at Gyanvapi. He was stopped by the Varanasi police and placed under house arrest. Police officials say that as the Gyanvapi matter is pending in court, permission will not be given for prayers at the mosque complex.
बहुत सारी पुलिस बाहर चारों तरफ घेरे खड़ी है मठ को। हम जितने लोग जा रहे थे हमने उनको सबको मना कर दिया। अकेले जाने के लिए हम तैयार हो गए, एक थाली पूजा की सामग्री लेकर के, तब भी हमको रोक दिया गया। तो अब सवाल ये है कि अब हम अन्न जल त्याग करके प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हैं। कोर्ट में हमारे वकील गए हुए हैं, अर्जेंसी एप्लीकेशन लगाए हुए हैं कि सुनवाई कर लीजिए, बात हमारी सुन लीजिए, फिर भी हमको बाहर नहीं जाने दिया जा रहा है।
स्वामी जी कहते हैं कि मेरी तपस्या जारी है, भगवान को जो करना हो करे, प्रशासन को जो करना हो करे, मैं सबके लिए तैयार हूँ। मेरी इच्छा बस यही है कि करोड़ों सनातनी हिंदू धर्मावलंबियों की जो ये इच्छा है कि भगवान आदि विश्वेश्वर प्रकट हुए हैं तो उनकी पूजा होनी चाहिए। और घर में भी हम लोग जब स्नान करते हैं तो भगवान को पूजा भोग चढ़ा करके ही स्वयं खाया जाता है। स्वामी जी स्वयं निकले थे पूजा करने के लिए, उनको रोक दिया गया।
Now, after the Gyanvapi issue came to light, we've been seeing similar such controversies spreading across the country, particularly in Karnataka. The focus is on Mangaluru, where there is a fight over a mosque, and it's now been taken up by court. A civil court will resume its hearing in this matter, the Malali Mandir Masjid case. During the hearing, the court will decide whether the case comes within the purview of the civil court or the Waqf court. There will also be a decision on whether the petition filed by the VHP is a priority or not. The controversy began after a temple-like structure was found during renovation work of the mosque. The Vishwa Hindu Parishad claimed that a temple existed beneath the mosque and that a survey should be conducted to find out the truth. Masjid authorities have sought the dismissal of the petition for a Gyanvapi-like survey of the mosque. This comes amid a huge controversy over various mosques in Karnataka, where Hindu groups have claimed they've been built on temples. Let's move on to some other stories also that we're tracking this morning. Something that happens every year on the anniversary of Operation Blue Star. Pro-Khalistan slogans ringing through the streets of Amritsar. As protests were held across Amritsar and in the Golden Temple, these slogans were raised. These protesters, including several youngsters and the elderly, were seen carrying Khalistan flags and placards, raised slogans in support of independence, demanding a separate state for Sikhs. High alert has been sounded in Amritsar and other districts, keeping in view the protest march being held by hardliner Sikh groups. It was on June 6th in 1984 when the army stormed into the complex of the Golden Temple in Amritsar, which is of course the holiest shrine for the Sikhs, to flush out extremists led by Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale. Chief Minister Bhagwat Mann on Saturday had reviewed the law and order situation ahead of the anniversary of Operation Blue Star. Right now in the Golden Temple premises, you can see several of these people who've gathered holding up posters hailing Bhindranwale as well. Manjeet Sehgal is joining us live from the Golden Temple in Amritsar. As we're seeing several events to mark the anniversary of Operation Blue Star, Manjeet, there have been pro-Khalistan slogans raised, posters, flags, all hailing Khalistan, all hailing Bhindranwale, spotted in several parts of Amritsar now.
Yes, Akshita, high alert has already been sounded, not only in Amritsar but various other districts, keeping in view the protest calls given by various Sikh organizations, including the hardliner ones. We are inside the Golden Temple complex, where 30th anniversary of the Golden, these Blue Star operation is being observed today. Though the religious ceremony is almost over, but there are still people who are holding placards and banners demanding the immediate release of the Sikh prisoners who have completed their sentences. Pro-Khalistani slogans were also shouted. They were carrying the photographs of slain Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale and demanded a separate homestead. Said that the Akal Takht chief Gyani Harpreet Singh also addressed the people, said Sikhs are still not independent, attempts being made to crush the Sikhs economically, socially, and it is the time when every Sikh should rise. He also openly said that he will favor that Sikhs are trained in state-of-the-art latest warfare and weapons, and the SGPC and the Sikh organizations should start training the Sikhs.
That's the next news break that's just coming in. Manjeet, stay with us. Let's give our viewers details of what exactly you're talking about. There was a controversy over the Akal Takht chief actually saying that Sikhs should obtain weapons. He's now taken that a step further, going ahead and saying that there should be weapons training also given for Sikhs and that they should start weapon training academies. This is in fact the highest Sikh body calling for arming Sikhs and also training them in using this. Manjeet, these kind of statements are being made in full public view. Nothing being done by the administration about this.
Well, administration is keeping an eye on all the developments, but all we know is this, that the Akal Takht chief Gyani Harpreet Singh openly demands that Sikhs should be given, or Sikhs should acquire state-of-the-art weapons. And today he made another controversial statement that Sikhs should get training to know and how to operate the state-of-the-art weapons. So this is his second statement. He also clearly says that Sikhs will be doing and be conducting the training programs openly without any fear. So this is the second controversial statement which comes within a week when he had demanded that Sikhs should acquire state-of-the-art modern weapons. But the situation here on ground, Akshita, remains under control. The administration has taken necessary steps to keep an eye on the protesters and has deployed over 6,000 police personnel in and around the Golden Temple complex. Akshita?
So, Manjeet getting us those details, the kind of security also that's been deployed to ensure that there is no untoward incident that plays out. But also, Manjeet, what we have to keep in mind is that there have been repeated provocations by the Akal Takht. You know, there have been comments which many will argue actually propagate violence at a time when we've seen something like, Punjabi singer Sidhu Moose Wala being shot dead in broad daylight in Punjab.
Gyani Harpreet Singh, the chief of Akal Takht, also expressed concern the way crime was rising, the way gun culture is rising. But on the other side, that every religion, be it the Sikhs or be it the Hindus, has the right to protect their people. That is why he had clarified that the Sikhs should acquire state-of-the-art weapons, and they should also be trained, should know how to operate these state-of-the-art weapons. Now, this statement is very controversial, but the Sikh leaders and Gyani Harpreet Singh himself has also justified, saying that the times are very tough as the crimes are rising and people should protect themselves. It is the time to assert themselves. It is the time to propagate and to promote the Sikh religion. So these are the statements given by Gyani Harpreet Singh, and this is not the first time. Even some time back he had demanded that state-of-the-art weapons should be acquired by the Sikhs as the crime rate is rising. On the other, the authorities are keeping an eye on every development. Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann yesterday had a closed-door meeting with Gyani Harpreet Singh and had discussed his security threat as well, as he had refused to take the Z+ security cover as assured by the union government. So,
Okay, all right, Manjeet, thank you for getting us all of those details. Let's in fact get you details of the controversial, provocative comments that have been made in the last few days by the Akal Takht. As Manjeet told you, they're now calling for weapon training for Sikhs. But this was preceded by a comment where they'd in fact said that Sikhs should obtain high-grade weapons to protect themselves, saying that the law and order is such in Punjab that every Sikh should be armed now.
Over 24 gunshot wounds. Superstar singer Sidhu Moose Wala riddled with gangster bullets. Once a glorifier of gun culture through his blockbuster music, now silenced by at least 3 firearms in Punjab's Mansa. Even in real life, Moose Wala was no stranger to pistols and rifles. But was Moose Wala alone in Punjab's embrace of guns? Let's take you back just a few days before the superstar singer's killing. The highest seat of Sikh temporal authority, facing the community's spiritual centre in Amritsar.
The Akal Takht is headed by a Jathedar. Traditionally, Akal Takht Jathedars would issue Adesh or Sandesh, orders or messages to the Sikh community on critical issues, religious, political and social.
But the incumbent recently stirred up a controversy. He called upon Sikhs to arm themselves with licensed weapons.
Sikh नौजवान बच्चे बच्चियां ਨੂੰ कि गुरु हरगोबिंद साहब सच्चे पातशाह ਦੇ ਆਦੇਸ਼ਾਂ ਦੀ ਇਹ ਪਾਲਣਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਸ਼ਸਤਰਧਾਰੀ ਹੋਈਏ ਗੱਤਕੇਬਾਜ਼ੀ ਤਲਵਾਰਬਾਜ਼ੀ ਨਿਸ਼ਾਨੇਬਾਜ਼ੀ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕਲਾਵਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੁਸਿੱਖਿਅਤ ਹੋਈਏ ਔਰ ਹਰ ਸਿੱਖ ਲਾਇਸੈਂਸੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮਾਡਰਨ ਹਥਿਆਰ ਨੇ ਲੀਗਲ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਰੱਖਣ ਦਾ ਹਰ ਸਿੱਖ ਯਤਨ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਰੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਮਾਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਹਾਲਾਤ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਣ ਰਹੇ ਆ
In a video dated May the 23rd, Gyani Harpreet Singh, the present Jathedar of the Akal Takht, referred to the teachings of Guru Har Gobind Sahib, the 6th Guru who established the Akal Takht and founded the Sikh military power more than 400 years ago. The Jathedar didn't elaborate on why the Sikhs need to arm themselves with modern weapons now.
हर सिख जिथे बाणी पढ़ के बलवान होवे उत्थे शस्त्रधारी जरूर होवे घोड़सवारी शस्त्र विद्या ये जिहड़े गुण है ये जिहड़ियां कलावां ने ये हर सिख जिहड़ा है वो जरूर सीखे.
His call drew a sharp reaction from Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann. The Punjab Chief Minister urged the Jathedar to rather spread the message of peace and brotherhood as revealed in the holy Sikh verses. The Punjab Congress chief, Amarinder Singh Raja Waring, demanded the Jathedar be sacked from his position. He termed Gyani Harpreet Singh's call mischievous. But the Shiromani Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee, or SGPC, endorsed the Jathedar's controversial statement. Controlled by the Badal's party, the top Sikh religious administration, whose executive committee appoints the Jathedars, tweeted out Gyani Harpreet Singh's video the same day. But not many in the Sikh religious sphere agreed with the Jathedar's call.
The statement last week of Gyani Harpreet Singh, the Mukh Sevadar of Shri Akal Takht Sahib, in asking all Sikhs to have licensed weapons on him or herself was not well thought out. We should all work towards what is enshrined in the Shri Guru Granth Sahib of Jao to Prem Khedran Ka Chao, which means you must play the game of love. Send that message out to the world and you will see how Sikhism will flourish.
Liberal gun policies have shaken a country like America on numerous occasions. And back home in India, a country with tightly restricted weapon licensing has been left shaken when gangsters shot dead Sidhu Moose Wala.
passion for the right to bear weapons is well recorded in Sikh history. The Sikh Kirpan, a key article of the faith, is constitutionally protected. But a call from a religious authority to bear firearms, even if licensed, has no place in a civilized society. Harmeet Shah Singh for India Today in New Delhi.
Let's get you an India Today exclusive news break. The biggest development yet in the Sidhu Moose Wala death investigation. We've now unmasked all the shooters, the 8 shooters who were involved in the killing of Moose Wala. For the first time, we are going to be putting out the images. They're on your screens. There are the images of the shooters involved in the killing of Moose Wala, who shot at him over 24 times. 2 of the shooters are from Maharashtra, 2 from Haryana, 3 are from Punjab. And that's why raids are underway in Delhi, Rajasthan and in Haryana right now to find all of the shooters. Let me take this across now to Arvind Ojha for more details. Arvind, in 7 shooter में से सिर्फ 1 को गिरफ्तार किया है अब तक.
जी बिल्कुल, देखिए जो 8 शूटर थे उनमें से 1 को गिरफ्तार किया गया. वो उत्तराखंड से उसकी अरेस्टिंग हुई थी. लेकिन मैं आपको बताऊं कि जो 7 शूटर हैं काफी लंबी इंटरोगेशन के बाद इनको जीरो इन किया गया है और इन्हीं पर शक है कि इन्होंने ही सिद्धू मूसे वाले पर गोली चलाई, जिसमें 3 पंजाब के रहने वाले हैं, 2 हरियाणा के रहने वाले हैं, 2 पुणे महाराष्ट्र के रहने वाले हैं, 1 राजस्थान का रहने वाला है. और ये सभी कहीं न कहीं लॉरेंस बिश्नोई गैंग से जुड़े हुए हैं या जेल में लॉरेंस बिश्नोई से इनकी मुलाकात हुई थी. और सबको जो एक साथ एक प्लेटफॉर्म पर लाने वाला है गोल्डी बरार, जो कनाडा में फिलहाल बैठा हुआ है. और ये देखिए, ये 4 स्टेट के शूटर अलग अलग 4 स्टेट के हैं और इनको एक साथ एक प्लेटफॉर्म पर लाकर सिद्धू मूसेवाला की हत्या करवाने का मकसद ये था कि जो एजेंसी है वो पंजाब पुलिस है वो पूरी तरह से गुमराह हो और इनको पकड़ने में मुश्किल हो. लेकिन इंडिया टुडे के पास इन 7 शूटर की तस्वीर भी मौजूद है और इन्हीं को दिल्ली पुलिस और पंजाब पुलिस फिलहाल तलाश रही है. कल रात भी पंजाब में, हरियाणा में, दिल्ली और राजस्थान में रेड की गई, ऑल्दो अभी तक कोई भी शूटर अरेस्ट नहीं हुआ है.
सिर्फ 1 शूटर गिरफ्तार हुआ है. 8 shooters in all and their pictures here on India Today. अरविंद, ये जो शूटर्स है क्या इनके खिलाफ पहले भी कोई केस था?
जी बिल्कुल, देखिए जो हमें जानकारी मिली है उसके मुताबिक जो 2 पुणे के शूटर है, जिसमें एक सौरभ है, एक संतोष जाधव है, ये जो लॉरेंस बिश्नोई का एक रिलेटिव है सचिन बिश्नोई, जिसका नाम इस लॉजिस्टिक सप्लाई में आ रहा है, उसके साथ जेल में बंद थे. इसके अलावा प्रियवत फौजी नाम का एक शूटर है जो हरियाणा का रहने वाला है, इस पर सोनीपत में कई मामले हैं. तो लगभग सभी ऐसे 7 जो स्क्रीन पर इंडिया टुडे के दिखाई दे रहे हैं, कहीं न कहीं उनके खिलाफ कोई न कोई क्रिमिनल केसेस है और फिलहाल वो अपने अपने स्टेट की पुलिस से लगातार फरार चल रहे हैं. अभी हाल फिलहाल में राजस्थान में लॉरेंस बिश्नोई के कहने पर एक्सटॉर्शन के लिए शूट आउट किया गया था, उनमें से कुछ इन शूटर्स का नाम सामने आया था. तो कुल मिलाकर इनको जीरो इन किया गया है और फिलहाल इन्हीं को अरेस्ट करने के लिए पंजाब पुलिस, दिल्ली पुलिस अलग अलग स्टेट में रेड कर रही है.
Okay, Arvind, thank you for getting us those details. Arvind Ojha getting us an exclusive news break. First time on TV, we're putting out the images of the men responsible for killing Sidhu Moose Wala. 8 shooters in all who were involved in the murder of Moose Wala in Mansa last week. 1 has been taken into custody.